Here was my first attempt to try to do something, make ammunition, so I didn't have to buy it out of Germany and wait 3 months for shipping, which is what you've got to do. So here are the ones that I made that work. This is the cheaper arrow, and they work just fine. They shoot fine. They're the right length. So I thought, let's go ahead and buy some crossbow bolts, because you can't find nocks. You can't find half-moon nocks that work in this little tiny shaft. So I went ahead and bought some crossbow bolts, stripped out the vanes, figured I'd be able to make several arrows with each one. And then I went ahead and bought the half-moon nocks that I need, and the inserts. So I've got my inserts, and I've got half-moon nocks hanging around here somewhere. And I bought some vanes that you have to trim down. This was my first attempt at making something like that out of that crossbow bolt. So it's the right length, everything works, everything fits, except when you try to slide the ammunition down into the shaft. What they have done is they have made this so that only an arrow can go down in here. This crossbow shaft, it won't go in here, it's too thick. And this is a .30 insert shaft for the nocks and so forth, which is a standard crossbow bolt. This is a crossbow. This is a crossbow bolt that won't fit into a crossbow. This doesn't work. Now you can fire it individually off of here, but that's not what you bought this for. You bought it so that you can have multiple shots. So what you've got to do is you're going to end up having to buy nocks. I'll make another video here. You have to buy nocks and regular arrow nocks, and you're going to have to shave them down to look like half-moon nocks. Again, all of this is because Germany takes 3 months to ship out the ammunition, unless you buy the red vein arrows. I've talked to EK Archery. EK Archery said that they only will warranty the blue vein. These. This is all that EK Archery is going to warranty in this particular crossbow bolt, is the blue vein bolt, because this is carbon. The red ones are all the red bolts. The shaft is plastic, so it's not a very stable one. However, if your idea is just to go hunting or to maybe put on some regular field tips and so forth, these are going to work just fine. But EK Archery says don't use these. And try to find that half-moon nock anywhere. You're not going to find it. It is not made except for specifically this arrow for this stinking gun. So they've successfully made a crossbow that won't take a crossbow bolt shaft. The shaft is too wide to fit in here. I think that was done on purpose. If they would have done this, then you could have made all the arrows that you wanted to, bought your half-moon nock standard, and made a standard bolt. But this gun is anything but standard. You cannot put anything standard in this thing. You're going to have to buy a regular arrow for a bow and not a crossbow bolt. And just to continue this conversation, I have the bow cocked, right? The safety's on, but here's one of the shafts that I'd cut down, a crossbow bolt. In fact, here you go. That's exactly what I bought right there, and it doesn't fit. Now, not only is the adder too small in that shaft, but even if you want to fire these bolts from here, guess what else doesn't work? This shaft right here is too narrow for a crossbow bolt. You get this tilting that goes on because it's just not built. This machine is not built at all. In fact, even when you look at how this matches up back here, that gets stuck. The nock gets stuck in here because the nock is too wide for that. So what you need, it's going to require a small arrow. This whole thing was designed for bow and arrow arrows and not for crossbow bolts. So this is going to be fun. You can make your own arrows. I'll make that in a future video here. But what you're going to find is that you're going to end up having to modify this nock. Actually, not this nock. You'll end up buying a regular bow nock, and you're going to end up grinding it down, which is going to make your measurements, I mean, you get close, but it's not going to be a typical half moon that you really want and that you need for this machine. All right, we've got these 5 homemade broadheads made out of the red vein arrows that you can buy fairly inexpensive off the Go Gun site. And here, I'm going to show you that they load up just fine inside the gun. Sometimes the razors get stuck on there. There we go. Now there's drop right in. One thing you got to be careful about when you load up that very first one is to make sure that you don't run that razor along your bow line here. Otherwise you'd end up with some fraying. But you can see they load up just fine. The magazine shoots just fine. You can shoot all 5 fairly quickly. It does have your little warning here that you're supposed to only use the 7.5 bolts that are specifically designed for this crossbow. That's because they're the only ones made in the world. There is no other bolt like it. So if you want to buy anything, they have a captive market. If you buy the Adder gun, the only ammunition you're going to have is from them, because nobody else in the world makes anything close to this ammunition. Or you're going to have to make your own out of arrow stock, not crossbow stock.